Welcome to week 10 of the implementation program. This week I want you to keep working on the emotional attachment to food and look at the emotional attachments that you have to your foods, so that when you're eating and those go-to foods, and when you're bored, why are you eating them? Are you eating them because you're bored, for example? I want you to continue trying to eat as much organic food as possible, and I want you to continue checking your transit time and being aware of your transit time. Your transit time now should really be starting to improve. Transit times, we're going to be looking for 13 to 17 hours, 2 bowel movements a day. You should be getting to that stage now. If you're not, then some factors like looking at the amount of roughage or fibre you're getting in your diet in regards to breakdown of cellulose and things like that, so you can try eating a little bit more foods like broccoli, cauliflower, those sort of foods that provide a little bit more roughage. Keep doing your abdominal wall toning and your 4-point tummy vacuum, and then even though you've reintroduced bread, I want you to continue to monitor how you feel after eating bread. The chances are that you are intolerant to a certain level, most people are, but you've got to find that level. So you might be okay with one slice of pizza, but if you eat the whole pizza, you might get bloated and inflamed small intestines, so that's too much. So you've got to find that level, and then once you've found that level, it becomes quite easy to then monitor that level and see how things are going. Continue to exercise. Even if your stress levels were under 25, I want you to do resistance training. Another good thing about resistance training is that by building muscle, pretty much everything in life seems easier. You create more oxygen through your mitochondria in regards to your cells. Even just simple daily tasks like picking up your children become a lot easier, and so it's fantastic. Really very, very important. Your veggie garden, we're going to talk about that shortly, but hopefully you've prepared it. You're cooking your steak and the eggs. Keep trying to work on just cooking the steak less and less till you get into basically just searing it. Keep working with your vitamin C and tell me what organic food you're eating. Now, this week I want you to reintroduce dairy, which basically means I want you to eat some dairy, maybe a glass of milk, and then monitor your reactions to it. And actually what I want you to do is take your pulse before you have the milk, and then go ahead and take your pulse for a couple of hours, every 30 minutes for a couple of hours after you've had milk, and then you're looking for a change of 10 beats higher or lower than the pulse before the milk, because we're looking for a change in your autonomic nervous system, and that's going to be an indicative that it's an allergy for you. Other factors you can look at when you introduce milk are factors that if you get a blocked nose, or you get mucus in your nose or throat, or you get a headache, these are also other signs of intolerance that you can look for. I also want you to test for general food intolerances. Now, the way to do this, if you think you're intolerant to eggs and you're not sure, or tomatoes and you're not sure, what I want you to do, you can cut out that food for 10 days and then reintroduce the food and go through the same steps that you're going to do with the dairy. Is take your pulse, reintroduce the food, and continue taking your pulse for a couple of hours and monitor whether you get a change in your autonomic nervous system. So I want you to do that this week and test a couple of foods for me and let me know which foods you've tested. This week we want you to go ahead and plant your garden. Now I want you to do some lettuce, some rockets, really fantastic with salads, and some pak choi. These are really good in seedling form, so they're already up out the ground and you can put them straight in. Really good in seedling form. I also want to do beetroot, silver beet and spinach, and you can put them in seeds. Okay, the reason I've chosen them is because they're quite easy to grow from seed. I wouldn't say very easy, nearly did, but they're quite easy to grow from seed, and so you're going to get good results with them. And if you've got a place where you can put a perennial, which is something that's going to live there the whole time and come up once a year, you can put some strawberries in. Now strawberries are one of the most heavily sprayed crops there are, and so it's fantastic to be able to walk out just outside your back door or your front door, and there's your own strawberries. You can pick and eat them for breakfast. It's what I do, highly recommend it. So you can put some strawberries in. This week I want you to have extra greens, and when I'm talking about extra greens, I'm talking things like spinach and kale, leafy greens. Anything that's very leafy and green. Lettuce is going to be another one. The reason being is I pretty much believe that greens are superfoods. When you look up the nutritional content of different foods, and when you start looking at leafy greens, they've got so many different things in. They've got, your omega-3s, they're high in magnesium, even then you get into trace elements, they're a good source of molybdenum, they're a good source of glutamine, so they're fantastic. They're basically superfoods. And so what I want you to do is try and greens, and I would like for you to try and eat some at breakfast time. Traditionally, people don't eat greens at breakfast, but it's a good opportunity to go ahead and get some nutrition in nice and early. So we're really moving away, further and further away from sort of puffed wheat breakfast cereals and moving towards whole food, nutritionally dense foods for breakfast. Now, if you don't like greens, the chances are there's a reason for that. Now, greens are very alkalizing in your body, and so if you don't like greens, the chances are that you actually need them more. And so people who don't like greens are usually very sick and actually need the greens. And so I highly recommend that you try and eat them, and your body will, as it becomes more alkaline, moves towards more neutral base, you're going to find that you like the taste of them. You can also do super greens like spirulina or barley grass, wheatgrass. We grow our own wheatgrass and juice it ourselves. Once again, they're basically a superfood, and if you can't get enough greens in your diet because of time factors, I highly recommend that you look at supplementing your diet with super greens. They're not really a supplement per se because they're a whole food. But having said that, it's definitely worth a go. I generally find, a lot of people find that when you start putting these things into your diet, your energy levels go up through the roof, which is fantastic. So I also want you to look at the Brazil nuts and try and find a method or a routine of getting your Brazil nuts into your diet, looking for 4 or 5 Brazil nuts a day. The reason being is that they're a very good source of selenium, a trace element that most people don't get enough selenium. So go ahead, get some 4 or 5 Brazil nuts, also a good source of protein and fat. So that would be great. This week, I also want you to research on your philosophy on life. I want you to research a belief system that serves you. Okay, now a lot of belief systems out there, they don't serve you, they serve the organisation. Now I want you to have a belief system that serves you, and if you don't have a belief system or method of dealing with death, you need one. Okay, death happens to all of us, and it affects all of us at some time in our lives. And you've got to have a belief system that enables you to deal with that right now. And so what I want you to do this week is start researching a belief system that you can adopt that's going to serve you, it's going to help you go forward. Okay, and then next week we're going to get you to tell me more about it. So let's go ahead and do some research on that philosophy on life. What sort of thing appeals to you? I'd also want you to continue to take action towards your ideal life and then update the owner's manual of what you've learned this week. Well done, a couple of weeks to go, keep up the good work, we'll talk next week.